All right, so in this video, I thought I'd show you how you replace a U-joint without damaging anything. So first thing you gotta do is you gotta mark the relationship of the two shafts. You don't want this to be turned 180 and put back together. It's not as important on an axle shaft like this as it is on a regular drive shaft, but just mark it so you know you're going back together the same way. Next thing you wanna do is knock all of your caps to help get the clips off of them. I always like to tap them all before I try, but as you can see, this shaft is completely worn out. And the next thing you need to do is locate the end of the clip. I like to use a punch. Just tap the clip so it pops out of there. That one's in a bad position. Actually, I'm gonna do these first. Okay, that clips off. And this is an inside locking U-joint. Some U-joints have these locks on the outside. This one's got these little C-clips on the inside of the caps. That's why I hit them in to loosen up these little clips. So now I'm gonna hit that on the edge just like that. Oops, came back. It's starting to come off, I think. All right, well, I got 3 out of 4. One of them's at a bad angle to get, so I'm gonna wait to get that one off. First part I'm gonna take apart is the long portion of the shaft. Set your shaft, the part that you're not pounding out, into the vise with enough room that this one can get pushed out below it. You don't wanna hit here. I see so many people put dents in drive shafts hitting in the actual tube or here. Right here is your best spot to hit. Medium-sized taps, you don't have to beat it super hard. That bearing's falling out everywhere. Flip it over. Do the same thing on this side. Well, that cap completely came off. It's fighting a little bit because there's loose needles in there. Okay, that one's starting to come out. Not enough. Pops right out. So I'm only hitting on the knuckle portion, not the tube or the shaft part. Get your cap out, and your U-joint will just pop out. Once you get past the rubber, little ring that's in there, you got half of it out. Now I can get at this last clip that's on this side once I loosen it up. For this, because you don't want to hit on the ABS sensor because you'll damage it, I take a socket that's just big enough that the cap fits into, set it over the end of the cap that you have the clip off, and just tap it out. Okay. That cap's out. Kind of crushed into little pieces. Okay, and so this one was the one I was having trouble with the clip. I'm going to tap it in, which just made that clip really loose. And I can actually just get under it with a screwdriver and pop it right out of the way. And then we can flip it over and do the same thing on this side. Boom. Little pieces kind of fly all over, so it's fun to pick up, but just like that, we have our junk U-joint removed from the yokes. We're going to go ahead and take our new U-joint, make sure that all of the bearings are in place and none of them have fallen down on the sides. Sometimes when you pull these off and put them back on, you can have a needle drop and fall in, and then when you go to put it in, it won't go in all the way. Or worse yet, you'll end up cracking one when you go to take it out to fix it, and then you ruin the whole U-joint. So just got to be careful with that. And for that reason, I always start one in like this, put the cap all the way on the joint as far as it'll go, and then by hand, with a little smaller hammer, make sure I got it all the way seated, even a little bit past where it needs to go. Go ahead and throw my clip on. Like that. And now before I start to put this one in, I'm going to pull this up about 3/4 of the way out so I can get this one started and most of the needles on the shaft before I hit it with a hammer. And then just take and tap it until it fits. Take and throw your clip on this side. Let's go a little more. There, fell all into place. Good measure. I'm going to take and just tap on it. Make sure we're all the way in. Oh yeah. Okay. Now with the marks that we made, we're going to make sure we keep the orientation correct. We're going to put this one in the same way. We're going to pull the caps off carefully. Make sure that none of them fell. And do it the exact same way. So carefully get this in without touching the grease to any of the shaft if you can. This one's really tight. Come on. There it goes. Keep that grease as clean as possible. Do the same thing, make sure the U-joint's all the way up in the cap before you start hitting it. Okay, and so I'm pretty much supporting the weight of the shaft in my hand, driving the U-joint in. I'm gonna throw the clip on this side. Snap. Then we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to pull the joint 3/4 of the way out. Let me get it lined up here. That way we can get this cap at least halfway on those needles to make sure they're not going to tip over. Same deal, tap it in. You do have to hit it with the hammer, but you shouldn't have to smash it with the hammer. If you're hitting it really hard to get it to do something, there's probably something else wrong, or it should go together pretty smoothly. You got to make sure those needle bearings don't get messed up. Now you can see it's kind of tight, so you're not quite done yet. What you want to do is the last clip you just put on, tap it that way. So that way you loosen the shaft up and you seat the lock ring like that. And so the shaft will float and it won't hang up in any direction. And there you have it. Your shaft's all put back together, ready to be installed back in your truck.